Hello, my name is Emma Bell.
Hi, I'm Layla Free.
Mule School. Stomper did not like Mule School. He liked the other mules. He liked lunchtime and playtime, but he did not like stubbornness practice.
Every day his schedule was the same. 9 o'clock, stubbornness. 11 o'clock, kicking. 12 o'clock, lunch. 1 o'clock, stubbornness. 2 o'clock, kicking. 3 o'clock, home.
Stamper's first stubbornness test was to guard a pile of apples. He stood mumbling no, no, no under his breath, but before long a scruffy pig snuffled up. My piglets are hungry. Could you spare some apples? He asked. Of course, Stomper nodded. Help yourself.
The pig waddled happily off with the apples, but when Stomper gulped, he had forgotten to be stubborn. Fool of a mule, cried Mrs. Kick, you must never, ever give in to a pig.
Stomper's next task was to block a path. Soon a family of goats needed to get past. Stomper stood aside and waved them by politely.
But then the school's meanest mules, Biff and Bash, jumped out and laughed. We are mules, we like to kick. Weakness makes us sick, 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 they chanted as they circled him.
They're right, thought Stomper sadly. I am a useless mule.
Stamp, why am I so weak? Asked Stomper in the playground. You're not weak. You've got a good kick, said Stamp. Come and play ball.
Stamp kicked the ball over the haystack and Stomper galloped after it, forgetting all his stubbornness troubles as he raced across the playground. They bashed and butted, kicked and crashed until it was time for class.
That afternoon, there was a field trip to practice kicking in the valley, but Stomper was sent out apple picking to replace the apples he had lost.
He wandered up the valley side, following a butterfly, and was listening to the mules chanting below when he had heard a frightening sound.
The dam above the valley had burst, and a huge river was roaring down. His friends were going to be swept away.
Move! Cried Stomper as loudly as he could, but the mules didn't hear him. Leaf or branch or rock or stick, whatever it is, we'll give it a kick, they chanted far below.
Run, thundered Stomper, waving his hooves wildly, but the mules were not looking. Nose to the ground and tail to the sky, let those thundering mule hooves fly, they cried as they kicked, kicked, and kicked.
Then at last Mrs. Kick saw the water swooshing toward her. She faced up the valley, dug her hooves, bared her teeth, and cried, "We are mules and we won't budge, even for an enormous flood."
The other mules took up the cry. Their eyes were wide, their ears were back, and their trembling hooves were planted firmly on the ground.
It's Stomper, cried Stamp with a mighty neigh of delight. Stomper's head was down, his heels were flying, and he was kicking with all his might. Crash, crash, crash.
He kicked at rocks, he kicked at sticks, he kicked at broken branches. Wood and rocks tumbled down the valley side with a rumbling roar, making a new dam that whooshed the water safely away.
Stamper trotted down the hill and stood as casually nibbling flowers. Slowly the other mules sidled up. We were wrong, they muttered. We were foolish mules.
Stomper shook his head. No, he said, you stood your ground. You did what a mule should do. It's just lucky that not all the mules are exactly the same as you. Mrs. Kick looked thoughtful as she led them back to the school.
The next day, at Mule School, the schedule read 9 o'clock, stubbornness or pottery. 11 o'clock, kicking or flower arranging. 12 o'clock, lunch. 1 o'clock, stubbornness or hoof printing. 2 o'clock, kicking or music or mules. 3 o'clock, home.
And at 11 o'clock, while Stomper happily kicked his way through class.
Biff and Bash were down in the meadow merrily arranging daisies.